Bennington.
I'm Ron Bennington, and if you have Bennington Bingo that you play along with, cornhole has already been used today. So good luck to everybody. I'm surprised it happened that early in the day, but I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. I still giggle every time I hear the name cornhole.
I just want to give you a warning. There's a kid sitting on his stoop across the street from me playing a vuvuzela all morning. So you're going to hear some of that.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know what that word means.
Do you remember at the World Cup, this was a couple World Cups ago, everybody had those long horn instruments.
Oh, the African
and
World
it sounds
Cup,
almost
yeah.
Yes. So that it sounded almost like a hive of bees all the time. That's what he's playing. It's a vuvuzela.
I want to get one of those for 7 o'clock at night and just try to vuvuzela out
great.
my neighbors when everyone's cheering. All right. It's a Monday, big protest weekend. Very, very small social distancing is going on right now. So this is an experiment, obviously one that I am not part of. Let's see if we can get this close to each other without dying or killing our grandparents.
Yeah, really testing how well those little pieces of cloth over your mouth work.
It seems like if that's the deal, we should have just done that from jump, and
yes,
everybody would still be at work right now.
I know. Instead of maybe 6 weeks in going, you know how we said you don't need masks? You really, really do need masks.
I know. The thing about that is people going, you don't need a mask and you don't need gloves. And you're like, well, I've seen pictures of operating rooms. It seems like doctors and nurses have always used them. Always.
It's just in their head, man.
Because there's been pictures with me with gloves on. Although I'm down to one glove, big up Michael Jackson. Because I figure, look, I'm really going to only, if I have to open doors or something, that's it. But I'm trying not to go inside anywhere because that seems to be the big beef right now. And the only thing I want to do is be one of those people who is close enough to a protest that you get asked your opinion on one of the news networks.
Right. Someone standing on the outskirts. Give a nice little blurb about it.
What do you think, fuckface? Well, I'm glad you talked to me. I'm here. Let me hold the mic. My favorite all weekend was a guy named Big Daddy in Cincinnati. First of all, how have I never heard that before? And how have none of the Cincinnati sports teams ever used that term? I mean, it seems like a giant mistake that you don't call the fat guy the Big Daddy from Cincinnati. Vito, see if you can find him. He looked like Meatloaf, which is always that's always a benefit.
Yeah.
The Meatloaf great is such a great look because it's menacing and fun at the same time. And I don't know how they have the balls on live TV to just hand the mic over. Do you have him, Vito?
Yeah, we have it right here.
All right, let's see if this is as fun now as when I saw it.
Hi, what is your name?
My name is Big Dick Daddy, and I'm from Cincinnati.
Big Daddy from Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
I saw you making some gestures at the police. I was wondering what's going on. What's going on here today?
Well, the cops shot somebody down here a couple nights ago, and they're going to just walk away like it's no big deal. And just people like these fine folks right here say, no, it's enough. Give us a reason, give us an excuse, and we want to hold somebody accountable.
Okay.
You can't just go around killing people. Can you? I can't. I know I can't. I mean, there's lots of people, sure, I'd like to put a stick in, but,
How long is all this going to go on?
It's going to go on until it's over.
Till it's over? What's going to make this over? What are there specific demands that these people want, that you and these fellow people want?
I would like to have some pussy, and that would make it over for me. Some real good pussy.
Well, have a great day. Thanks for your time.
Oh, my God. I like how he almost gets it.
Yeah.
You know, like he's close to kind of getting what's happening, but not quite.
Our buddy TR in LA sent that to me, and it was the only laugh I've had in a while. And I was just playing it back over and over and just cracking up because there's no one in her ear. As soon as she hears the term Big Daddy from Cincinnati, they should be like, abort, get out.
Also, who would just look at that guy and be like, he seems like he's going to have a grasp on what's going on. He's going to be able to sum it up nice and quick. I mean, his stretched out neck hole alone.
Yeah.
He's quite disheveled. And you picked
How does
him out of
that
this
happen
group?
to a T-shirt? Is that just the head that does that, or is he just pulling at himself?
I don't know.
Big Daddy from Cincinnati. I haven't got no pussy or had a job since 1978.
This guy's great.
How does Ohio fucking have the southern accent? They can see Canada from their house. Why does that accent move all the way through Ohio like that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very unique, though.
Ba ba ba. So that was hilarious. Just protests all over America. It was, you know, I think if you go back over this, I think we're in like day 11. Day 1, day 2, day 3, there were some people out, and a lot of them were boisterous. You know what I mean? A lot of them were some rowdies in the middle of it. But after Trump sent the troops through that park, the next day it was just explosive. It just gets bigger and bigger. Philly was ridiculous on Saturday, just gigantic. New York was gigantic.
Unreal.
LA had 50,000 people in a fucking pandemic just lined up next to each other. And I'm like, no one on the news now is bringing up coronavirus. Who would have ever thought that coronavirus could get knocked off the news?
I know. Remember Colin Quinn joked that his prediction was the 2020 story was going to be coronavirus? Now I don't know. Maybe he was wrong.
It is weird. You can't hold on to two stories at the same time?
They simply can't.
No, what is going to...
I could be wrong about the timing of this, but I almost remember that it was right before, and I mean minutes before 9/11. They were just like, it's shark attack season, and like every story was like sharks. And then 9/11 happened. They were like, drop the sharks. We've got a big story coming.
I know, but it seems like there could be a place for sharks even during 9/11 week.
It seems like it, but...
Because there was a big shark story yesterday in Australia. Did you see that? Great white killed a surfer, and then the boats went out, and the fucking shark started fucking around with the boats. They were trying to chase the shark away. This shark did not give a shit.
That's actually Jaws.
I also think that picture of Mitt Romney and Black Lives Matter, he did a selfie, but it's just his eyeballs up through this giant 5 head of his. And it is like the Tom Papa look. Tom Papa does the same kind of selfies where it's just the top of his head.
Yeah, it was interesting to see him out on the street.
Black Lives Mormons is what he's calling the BLM right now. You know, his dad back in the 60s used to show up and be part of marches. So
you know,
maybe,
I didn't know that until, people started mentioning that, seeing him on the streets, and how I didn't know that was his dad's history.
Yeah, well, the Mormons are always, they're such nice people, as they point out all the time. They love to point that out. They're
Friendly.
They're the Canadians. But you have to be careful, because we used to say that about people from Minnesota. And look at the way they fucking acted. They got crazy as shit. And this bothered me. I mean, this whole thing started off in Minneapolis. No time for a Prince tribute in the middle of this?
I know. I thought...
it's Prince's birthday.
I know. I thought like the timing of that was pretty crazy too. Just with last night, them essentially saying that their council members had decided to, they basically committed to saying that they were going to disband the Minneapolis police. And I was like, this is like a Prince birthday present.
Yeah, it's why Prince was into getting rid of the cops.
I mean, Prince was, he was always about the revolution.
Well, at least the band, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go crazy, Prince would have been 62. Prince, Michael Jackson, and Madonna are all the same age. The three, I would say the three dominant pop voices of the 80s. They all would have been in the same graduating class. Isn't that weird when you even think about it?
That is weird.
And
it's like just,
I don't think...
like a pop generation.
I don't even think Michael Jackson went to high school. But Prince graduated from high school, and so did Madonna. Mm-hmm. But that would have been funny if they were all in the same school.
School has a lot of talent.
All right, rank them. Let's rank the class of 76. Who do you got, Gail?
I'm going to go Prince far and above. Then I'm going to say, oh, fuck, that's really hard. Michael, then Madonna. It's hard to say. Fuck.
You know what? Let's Black Lives Matter this thing. Earl, let's rank the class of 76.
I'm going to go number one, Michael Jackson. He was the prodigy. He was the breakout star at an early age. Then I'm going to go Prince, and then Madonna. Madonna's the late bloomer.
Look like we got a tie here. Well, here's the thing about the funny thing. In 1976, Michael Jackson was kind of washed up. That's when he went to Philly and was trying to reboot himself because he went from being cute, little Michael Jackson, to gangly, teenage acne Michael Jackson. Then he just needed to 79 before he went off the wall. But there was a period in the 70s where Michael Jackson was like considered like Donny Osmond. You know what I mean? Like, I guess he'll go to Vegas one day and just do a show with his sister, but
Right.
he was not getting, he was still in the Jackson 5, but they weren't really getting the same amount of airplay that they had a couple years, all because, he was all just buck teeth and elbows at that point.
Would this be like Ben era Michael Jackson?
No. Couple of years after Ben. Years after. It was when they went to Philly and tried to reboot and tried to be part of that whole Philly International thing. And I think at that point they decided, hey, this Jackson 5 thing ain't working, Mm-hmm. Mike's going to go out on his own. And then, I don't know, whatever happens, you get past that awkward age and everybody likes you again. Now, you know what? Let's go to a Zoomer, a little snowflake. Vito, you weren't here in real time for any of it, okay? So rank the three.
I'm going to go number one, Madonna, number two, Prince, and number three, Michael Jackson.
Why do you put Madonna at number one?
Because I remember I wasn't here for any of it, and I remember seeing her VHS tape in my house. So she's the one I feel like I know the most.
Yeah, the other two didn't have VHS tapes. You're right about that.
Nope.
Forgot.
Not in my house. Just Truth or Dare, Madonna, VHS.
Oh, you're 90s Madonna. You even came on the reboot. One thing about Madonna and Prince is they weren't so kid rapey as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You got to take points off for the kid raping.
Well, that was why I struggled with my second and third place. I'm like, should I move them down for the kid rape? And I just thought that's not fair. I need to set that aside and just talk about talent level.
Why can't you do that with Woody Allen?
I do. Every time I watch his movie. Every time
Early
I watch
movies.
his movie, I just go, forget.
I can really forget with the 70s and 80s. But after that, I start remembering very much.
Well, also he makes it difficult. Like in Manhattan, like there's just too many moments where you're just like, yeah, you just literally put it out there is the problem. Remember, it's just like 14-year-old twins, and you're like, oh boy, you're really making it difficult for me.
The weird thing is, I think that line was Annie Hall, not even Manhattan. That was
it was?
one that people feel more comfortable with. Yeah,
Right.
but there's plenty of those jokes in Woody's past. Which the joke's not so offensive. The actual stuff, much more offensive. Don't get me wrong. It's not that the jokes bother me.
Right. I guess the problem is they could have been jokes, but instead you're like, they're jokes, but you also mean it. That's where it gets confusing.
I went past Woody's house the other day, and I'm like, I wonder if he left the city or not. And the house kind of looked dark, but there was a lot of trash outside. And I'm like, how much trash do these people have? And then I go, who am I? The National Enquirer? I want to go through Woody's trash?
I think that's got to be at least our third lead story. It goes Black Lives Matter, coronavirus.
Yeah.
What's up with Woody Allen's trash?
By the way, do you notice that the kid raping not only doesn't bother Earl, but it seems like he gave extra points to Michael for that?
So too.
No.
I at least struggled.
Earl, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this, Earl? Why don't you look to see if there was anyone else in the class of 76 that we were missing? They would have been 62, or they are 62 this year. Because I think out of the three of them, I think Prince was the oldest by a couple months, but they would have all graduated at the same time, which is kind of weird. It's kind of nutty when you think about it.
Yeah.
Also, don't you have to take points off? I mean, if you look at this, Prince is a better songwriter. I think we all agree to that. I'm going to give a slight edge to Michael on dancing, but not the gigantic thing that most people would give, because I hate the fucking flying V. And, you know what I mean? I just hate that thing that, I just have dancers with me. And then you got to give big points that Prince could play every fucking instrument and play it great.
Yeah.
Earl, now that I talked it out, what's that? Yeah, Prince was a great fucking dancer, but Michael's famous for dancing. Prince, he was dancing around with a fucking guitar that he was fucking crushing. Also, his hair was fabulous, and Michael always struggled. He never knew what to do with his hair or his nose. His skin color, his eyes, everything was a problem for Michael.
That was all, it was difficult.
As much as people idolize Michael Jackson was not crazy about Michael Jackson. Didn't think he had the look down.
I just wish he saw what we saw in him.
All right. I asked Earl to do this, but Chris has just texted me that he has it. Go ahead, Chris. What do you got?
Chris.
Of musicians in that class, Ice-T, Bruce Dickinson, Andy Gibb.
All right, here's very interesting. Ice-T came so much later than all those folks. You know what I mean? Ice-T was more like a 90s act.
Yeah,
And
late bloomer.
the other guys were like late 70s into early 80s. All right, now Bruce Dickinson, Andy Gibb are in it. All right, this changes everything. Andy Gibb, number 1. Bruce Dickinson, number 2. Ice-T, number 3. Earl, how did he beat you to that?
Yeah, I was just looking up by celebrities, and not specifically by musicians.
What? Who cares about celebrities? Wow, you got a good celebrity? Also in 58?
Alec Baldwin, Ellen DeGeneres.
All right, Alec Baldwin, number 1. All right. None of this stuff. You missed the entire idea of what we're doing with the Rock thing.
I can't
This is
believe Alec
completely went
Baldwin
out.
to throw Gibb.
You're right. Andy Gibb, back to number one.
Please.
I remember Andy Gibb had just such a breakdown because he was like, after the Bee Gees hit, Andy Gibb became like the pop star of the family. He was almost like the Janet Jackson of that family. Like after it was done, he got his run. But somebody broke his heart. He couldn't get his shit together. It was like Victoria Principal or someone that you wouldn't expect to be a heartbreaker. And did he kill himself or did he just drug himself to death? I can't remember.
I think he drugged himself to death.
Why don't you look it up on your celebrity fucking list that you have, bro?
Yeah, we also have other musicians, Joan Jett.
See, this is what would have been the point. Joan Jett now moves to number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Andy Gibb was with Mary Osmond.
No, stop it. There is no Mary Osmond. There's a Marie
You mean
Osmond,
Marie?
but that wasn't the one that fucked him up. Come on. It was a very famous, like somebody from Dallas, one of them. Earl, did you stop just at Joan Jett or do you have more?
We got Joan Jett. We got country singer Alan Jackson, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue.
Why am I pulling teeth with
Kate
you? What is
Bush.
that all about? Class of 76 represents. Yeah. Did you find it, Chris?
It's Victoria Principal. You were correct.
All right. See, that should have been seconds.
I know.
I mean, she fucked him up. Like he was like crying on TV and shit. Just like bawling his eyes out. I can't get Victoria Principal back. I just never, I mean, it was like, even like when you were in school, you don't want to see somebody crying because somebody broke up with them. You know what I mean? And then he was just doing it on like fucking television.
That is true. A breakup is one of those things that it couldn't be a bigger deal to you, but even to your closest friend, they're like, all right, buddy. You know, it's not the kind of tragedy that usually people have a ton of sympathy for, even though
It's
everyone's
so
been
true.
through it.
So fucking
like,
true.
Just fuck someone else. Like, no
That's
one
the-
ever can get it.
It's the truth. It fucking hurts so bad, and no one, you know, they'll give you a second.
one cares.
Like, well, you know what we should do is shots. You don't understand. I want Victoria Principal back. She used to lick my nuts. She was my doll baby princess. Used to get down on her knees and lick my nuts. Yeah, no one has any time with anyone who's ever had a breakup. And you could be married for 30 years, and they're just like, hey, dude, it's time for you to get back into the game.
I know. And like, usually when people experience loss or, any tragedy, your friends will check up on you. They'll show up with food. But for some reason, a breakup, they're like, shake it off, buddy. Get over it.
Dude, I remember a fucking guy, and he was like kind of a fucking tough guy. And he breaks up with his chick. Now, we all are in the same fucking neighborhood. You know what I mean? And this is just maybe a year or so after fucking high school. And he just fucking takes it hard as fuck, right? So much, he eats he shaves his head, and then he eats a bunch of fucking pills. And, they got to fucking bring him back from the edge of death. So we decide, like, hey, let's go to the shore and get fucked up. So here we are. We're walking down the fucking beach. Everybody else has got a fucking mop head like there was a quarantine going on, because that's the way people look then. This fucking guy has a shaved head and these two bruises where they fucking shocked him back to life on his chest. I was laughing my ass off.
Oh, my God.
He was like, that was my little girl. We had everything. Now who's she fucking and sucking? That's
Dude,
the other
just don't
bad
think
thing when you
about
have. Yeah, that's the thing. Back when you have those kind of neighborhoods, not only has your girl left you, but she's dating at least someone you know. If not, then a friend.
Right.
A college I went to was actually both my high school and my college were both very, very small. And we had to kind of make the decision that it's just like, hey, we can't get mad at each other when somebody dates someone's ex. This place is too small. So everybody's on the table.
That's
Can't call
mature.
dibs.
That's mature. But like you say, no one cares about a breakup. No one ever cares about a little kid's breakup, and it fucking hurts just as much when you're in elementary school as it does when you get divorced. It's the same fucking pain.
Right. Because it's just relative to your tiny little heart.
Yeah, I mean, you literally have the same feelings, but everyone looks at you like, well, you weren't going to stay with your fifth grade girlfriend. Stop it. So today Trump made fun of Mitt Romney for going to the protest.
Did he have
man,
like
you
a
know
fun
who-
nickname for it?
Let's see what he said. All right, Mitzi Fucksticks. That's surprising. I don't know how that got in the paper. Here's the weird thing: is like, the snowflakes are the ones pushing this now. The snowflakes have overnight become the political power. The snowflakes are now an avalanche. After all this time of everyone acting like the young people are pussies, they don't care, boom, they hit the streets, and now people are like this. You know what? Maybe we should be able in an NFL game to kneel on the flag, and let's get rid of the police. We really don't need police. This happened in 2 weeks. It's crazy.
I also have to wonder how much the pandemic changed the way we did things, the speed in which we were able to do it. I kind of had this thought early on, remember, where I was saying, I wonder if this is really going to make a big change when it comes to, people giving a shit about global warming. Because here we are, we can advocate for a future, for kind of an unseen enemy, and I feel like we're already doing that. But it's about racism. I just feel like we've shifted the way we think and the way we do things, and I wonder how much the pandemic had to do with that.
I'll tell you this. I mean, we talk about terrorism, but we still got terrorism right here in the USA, like the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. All right, now, Fez just texted me this. Andy Gibb died of myocarditis during his deep depression over a toothpick Vic principle. Inflammation of the heart. She literally broke his heart. That's how he died. He died of a broken heart. Yet I can't get that from Chris, and I can't get that from Earl, because they fuck around all day.
Drugs.
I tell you why, because there's day drinking going on with the Bennington show.
No.
Chris gets up first thing in the morning. He starts slamming gin.
Yeah.
There was a thing last night. A bread bro went and torched a police van, and the cops are looking for him now. And everybody sent this to me because he looks like Chris Stanley. The amount of people that look like Chris Stanley that are in the news.
It's not me. I'm not. Bread bros aren't setting fire to cars.
They're setting
Enjoying
fire
bread.
to bread. I mean, if you look at that crust that you had, they're setting fires to bread. And once you get that thing, once you become a Sparky, there's no stopping you.
Sure. Okay, I just saw the still from the video, and that is Chris. I mean, that's definitely him.
No. Incorrect.
Either that or it's Big Daddy from Cincinnati, which I also kind of feel like that could have been you.
I love Big Daddy.
That's what you make your girlfriend call you.
first,
Here's
I
something
actually thought that he said Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati. And then I thought she kind of was like, Big Daddy. I thought she was like correcting him.
No, it's just his dick isn't big enough to call himself that, but he can go with big. Now, have you guys seen this movie about Gene Sebring yet? It's on Netflix.
I haven't.
No.
I turned it on last night. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's more like a TV movie than a movie. So Vince Vaughn is like the 5th or 6th lead in this, right? And I'm sitting there going, why would Vince Vaughn take the job as the other cop? You know what I mean? Not even one of the, it's really about her. It's about the Black Panthers. And then the feds are watching them. And there's like a main cop. And then Vince Vaughn is like his annoying, semi-racist friend. And I'm like, Vince was such a big fucking star.
Massive.
And I don't know whether you guys know this, but like he was like the second choice for Iron Man. He could have been Iron Man. And it's not like people wouldn't have went to those movies if it was Vince Vaughn. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one guy goes on to be the fucking biggest fucking movie star in the world, Robert Downey Jr. And now Vince is fucking 5th lead in a made-for-TV movie. Crazy.
I would have changed everything.
Everybody loved him after Swingers, you know?
Oh, yeah. He couldn't have been funnier.
I know he did he produce a documentary about black people and cops a couple of years ago? If he would have just saved that and it would have come out today, he would have had something for himself. At the time, everybody was saying, oh, shut up, Vince. You're so right-wing.
Yeah, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. Earl's looking it up now. He's going to explain it to us. Meghan McCain went after Trump today for hiding out during the civil unrest. He likes to act tough, but President Bone Spurs is quite scared. The Bone Spurs thing has never really caught on, but it seems like it should be huge for a guy who's pro-military.
I know. And the way that he has used nicknames to his advantage, it just seems like this one has been waiting for him this whole time.
Yeah. It should always just be about Bone Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back with fat-ass Meghan McCain. No wonder your dad was captured in Vietnam. He didn't want to come home and see his chubby daughter.
He likes the ones that weren't captured.
Yeah. A lot better.
Mm. By the way, have you guys been hearing the vuvuzela, or is it just happening in my head?
It's just happening in your head. I can't hear it.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's not.
I know. I have that in my neighborhood
maddening.
I have it in my neighborhood all the time, and for some reason, you guys never hear it. And I just heard someone screaming and getting raped. I went over and I just tried to put my window down. That's one of the things that I'm worried about. This getting rid of all the police. It seems like there's still rapes and muggings. What do we do about that?
But
Nothing?
if you've ever reported a rape or been with somebody when they reported a rape, you would see it's less helpful than you would imagine.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been around the rape game all that much. But
Not on that
I was
end,
thinking
anyway.
Hey. Some of that stuff catches on. Now, I was thinking about this with the cops, though, when the cops are saying, how come more people don't like us or whatever, and we have a hard job? But if you ever watch a cop movie, who do the cops always hate? The internal affairs, right? That's always like they hate the people who are policing the cops. And I've been watching movies, and I'm like, cops fucking hate cops. You know what I mean? Like, as much as they say, why do you hate us? We're just trying to help. You would think they would go, thank God we have internal affairs. You know what I mean? Some police that keep an eye on the police. But they hate those fucking guys.
Right. Yeah, there's never been much openness to policing the police, either within and certainly not
outwardly. I mean, they never wanted any of those, citizen review boards or anything like that.
That would be a good list to make, is like the most hateable internal affairs people. And I always think back to Basic Instinct, where the guy was always following him around going like this, "What happened, shooter? Did you do it again, shooter?" He kept calling him shooter because he shot a guy like a couple years before. He fucking just hated that dude during the movie.
Right. And normally shooter would be a cool nickname to have, but not in that instance, I guess.
Well, in basketball, it's always a good one. Here comes shooter. A lot of our friends did stand-up over the weekend. Bobby Kelly went out to a club in Florida. It looked like there wasn't any social distancing there at all. Joe Mackey, I saw him say that he had tour dates. And Che did a show over in Long Island City. It was an outdoor show. And the people looked to me like they were pretty packed in. Now, here's the weird thing. Che was far away from them, but they were all stuck together. I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, Che's not going to get a disease. But all those people sitting in the park, they could.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of those things is like it all looks very close, and I can't tell if it's just like perspective. Even with the protests, I'm like, is that 6 feet? And there's just a lot of people. It's very hard to see because to me it just looks crazy.
Those protesters were 5 inches away from each other. 5 inches. I mean,
but then
they
like
were
I keep
packed in
seeing
there.
and I guess it depends because there's, when we say the protests, like there's so many that pops up, through the city, and, there'll be ones in the daytime and then, later in the evening, and, sometimes there'll just be like drum circles or whatever. And maybe it's like the daytime ones look like they're a lot more spaced out. But then, at night they look really body to body to me.
Look at those pictures in Philly. I mean, you would have sworn they were all trying to get Rocky tickets.
I know. Philly's numbers were unbelievable. I was really, really amazed to see that.
Yeah,
despite the Fishtown boys, I guess they weren't able to break that up.
Yeah. Dude, you want to talk to anybody and have fun, talk to my sister, my little sister. You know what she calls the protesters?
What? I'm afraid to know.
The looters. The looters were at the Dover Mall. Now, the looters, they looted the Forever 21, the CVS. Ronnie, they looted the Wawa. I go, were the sandwiches already made? No, they took the lunch meat. They got all the tasty cakes out of there and tasty pies.
I don't care for these looters.
I wanted to go down in Boscov's, but I don't want to be around all the looters. I'm supposed to go to Boscov's and return something. I wanted to take Mom down there, but there's too many looters. Yeah, they were looting on TV. They don't care if anybody's watching them. They got handbags. They got toasters out of there. They got small air conditioning loot. I wish somebody would loot me an air conditioning unit. They even went down to the Amish farmers market. They got cantaloupes. They got watermelon. Yeah, they got corn out there. String beans. Them looters, they're all over TV. Oh, it's a shame. It's a damn shame. I'm not going anywhere near there. I was like, you should go loot something. Oh, believe me, I'd be the one to be caught. There's only one person caught, Cindy. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do any looting tomorrow, but, I just want them to stay away from the Acme. We were sitting here watching it on the TV. Looting. Too much looting right now. Plus, they bring that heroin down from Philly.
That's true. They do that. That's where they get it from.
I thought someone looted our mailbox, but they didn't. It's just that no mail came that day. She told me each and everything, every brand, and then each item that was looted from each store.
Oh, my God. It's so good.
Then she goes like this. Tell Juju I have the same ice cream that she has, too. And I have those cones. I keep them in my freezer. As soon as I saw that picture of her, I went and got one for myself. I went and got a cone, you know? I can't go out. It's too much looting.
Did you loot those cones?
She looted some cones. I mean, they're looting hoagies right now. They're sitting in the store, and they're sitting in the Wawa, and they're looting hoagies. They had a Coke with it. They had a pack of smokes. There's too much looting these days. It's so fucking funny. Too much looting. I'd like to go on a gluten-free diet. Is what this country needs to do right now. A gluten-free diet. She does not like the looters. Feels like they got all the good bags. Your hero, Jumpin' Joe Biden, he says he opposes calls to calls to defund the police. He's
Yeah,
the
of
law.
course
He
he
says
does.
he's the law and order candidate.
Well,
I thought
it's
I
good.
saw
It's good to read the room. he's really listening.
I thought I saw Michelle Obama looting something in there. Looked like her. I don't know if it was her, but it looked like her. Looked like she got 2 handbags and a toaster. Anytime I talk to my mom and sister, I saw that they got bits and pieces out of the news. Just bits and pieces. Just enough to go with. All right, here's the picture you got to see up on page 6 now. This came out today. So apparently Cuomo's wife was on some kind of, and this is Chris Cuomo, CNN's Chris Cuomo. She's doing some kind of yoga class with other people. And they have, I don't know, somebody did a screen cap. In the background, you see what seems to be a nude Chris Cuomo standing outside.
Oh my God. How do you make this mistake?
First
Totally
of all,
nude.
how many people walk into their backyard nude?
I mean, you got to have a pretty big yard for that.
Even if you do,
Also,
you're fucking Chris Cuomo. That's worth money to TMZ. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't think of a fucking star. They're not going to be walking around naked where somebody could take their picture from a mile away. They're just not going to do it.
Right.
Anderson Cooper is not going to walk around balls out. No matter if he's on his own private property.
I hope that he put sunblock on all his sensitive areas because he's already looking a little pink.
Well, I'm going to say this. Number one, when I say baby got back, I'm talking about his actual back. That's a pretty nice size, thick back. I'm not talking, the ass looks narrow, but the, shoulder to shoulder is a pretty good distance. And then I'm going to say this. He wanted this picture taken. Why would he line up so the pole covered his ass crack? What's the fucking odds of that happening?
That's a good point.
He
This was on purpose.
went out,
He wanted to show off the
posed
back.
like that. Yeah. He posed like that. He knows it's going to go super fucking viral. And he's not really showing anything.
Right. It's a win-win for him.
Yeah. I'll just say this. Chris Cuomo, hack. It's a hack move.
I guess he's an exhibitionist.
I don't blame him. I mean, just being on TV, you have to be. And then he'll do an interview with his brother where they just sit around and giggle. Well, I'm glad you guys are having fun and you're related.
Yeah.
But can I get some coronavirus fucking numbers? Is that a problem? I know there's people walking down the street with masks on, but I'd like to know whether the city's getting safer and I can go outside.
Well, first they want to go into this story from their family history. Please stop.
No. Our dad gave us work ethic. Isn't it hard to believe that anybody would pick Michael Jackson over Prince?
Yeah, it's hard for me to think of anyone picked over Prince, but yeah. I mean, like I said, when I gave my pick, it was Prince, and then very far down the list, I will give you Michael Jackson, then Madonna. To me, he's like above and beyond.
All right, this Hack Comics says this, listening to just Friday show. It's always weird to me how people are behind. I feel like if I would have missed something, I would have just let it go. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he says Martha Vineyard has had a long history for Black Americans. Yeah, other than them living there.
Was that about when we were talking about Bill Murray's son, I think, maybe? Getting arrested in Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, Bill Murray's boy. Little Murray. Bill had to go down and bail him out 3 o'clock in the morning. You mean I can't use a check? What? What do you... all right, what did we have? Earl, what were you looking up for us?
I was looking at the Vince Vaughn. He had a documentary in production, and there's nothing else new about that documentary since. It was dated back.
Never happened?
Never happened.
I know that he had Mel Gibson as part of it. I mean,
No, they
everyone was
did a
like,
movie together called Dragged Across Concrete.
yeah, but I think Mel Gibson was supposed to do something in the documentary.
Yeah, that doesn't mention anything here that I see about Mel Gibson being involved.
Well, it doesn't even exist, according to you. Never got done. So we could all been involved at that point. Earl, where are you looting tonight? You going out anywhere?
Gonna loot
I
hoagie?
am not a looter. I was thinking about checking out the Washington Square protest happening late this afternoon. Hoping that.
Do you ever go to any of the protests in Queens?
No, he refuses. Too many
They're
black
usually
people.
on like the other side. They're like in, there's like one in Far Rockaway. There's one. There was a couple in Jamaica, but they were like really
Sounds
early
beautiful.
in the day.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
That's the one I'd like to
Hey,
go to.
Vito, now that we're in phase one, are the sports leagues coming back? Yes or no? What's the story?
So the NBA just voted that they are coming back with like 22 teams coming back. Some of those teams will be playing in like their own tournament to play into to the actual playoffs. So like that's like the NHL I think is coming back. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't like looked too much into the NHL coming back. But yeah, the NBA they're all gonna play at Disney World. They're gonna have their families with them. For some reason, part of the deal was that the families are not allowed to go to Disney World and ride the rides.
Well, it's easy to find out because they don't want the families to catch it, bring it back to the player.
Yeah.
And the player, they're supposed to be in a bubble.
Yeah.
In a bubble. I don't know why you need to take your family along. You know what I mean? Like when people get sent to Iraq, they can't say, "Hey, can my family come?" You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, can you guys make just a fucking a little bit of a sacrifice here for safety?
Yeah, I mean, like that was one of the biggest arguments I think the athletes were making was that they didn't want to be separated from their families for an entire season or what this is going to be, which I believe this is going to end.
It's going to be a couple months top.
Yeah, it's going to end in the fall or near. I know the next season is supposed to start in December. That's like what the new schedule is going to be. And then,
so we're going to have 2 years of no full seasons.
I think that the plan would be that the December league just goes late.
Okay.
And that going forward, the new NBA season might start in December.
Well, I don't really start watching the NBA until Christmas Day. That's my little fucking thing for myself. I go, all right, let's kick it off.
I also feel like, I mean, just playing basketball always felt like a summer sport. So I kind of like the idea of going forward basketball taking more time in the summer than the fall. But yeah, like
first of all, I don't know why. I mean, it's always been a winter sport, always. Like when you're in high school, basketball season starts after football season.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm just going from just from when you play it, you play it outdoors, you play it on the street in New York. So like, I always looked at I like basketball in the summer. So I'm personally I like the possibility of it going winter to summer.
But you understand that playing outside has nothing to do with the NBA.
Yeah,
you get that, right? All right. I mean, we all played outside, but when you're playing in an actual league, you're playing indoors. You're playing in the gym. You're playing at the CYO.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I like what they're doing. The 22 game format. I mean, the Knicks aren't in it. Obviously, the Nets are in it, but both Kevin Durant and Kyrie say they're not going to play. But like I look at this as a much more reasonable thing than baseball. Like at this point, I don't even want baseball to come back. And with baseball, they're looking at like a 50 game season, and I don't see the point in a 50 game season. Just like give them.
How many games are there normally?
162.
162. So I mean, it's not really a season at all.
No.
And the thing is, basketball is set up for tournament play, so why not? You could even just have a tournament and say this is the fucking tournament of this year. Who gives a shit? You know, they should even do it like one and done. Like March Madness. Everybody would watch it. Everybody would enjoy it. And you could say, oh, they're not the real champions. Who cares? They're the fucking quarantine tournament champions. They do this in soccer all the time where they're just saying, okay, it's the middle of the season. Let's have a tournament.
Yeah, and the NBA has like talked about like doing that kind of stuff in the future anyway, like having mid-season tournaments, having preseason tournaments. So like I do think it makes sense for them to come back. They already played most of the season, so like why not have this playoff? But baseball, why at this point just why do it? The players are obviously not agreeing with the owners. A 50 game season, like it part of winning a World Series is that you went through a brutal schedule. You went through 162 games and you won the World Series. Like a 50 game season is just I mean it's even more meaningless than what it would have been in an empty arena season.
And it's not like we don't have missing seasons in our history. We do.
Yeah.
You know, those strike years, people were like, okay. And the world didn't become unglued because we didn't have a fucking world champion that year. Who gives a shit? Now, here's the thing. I honestly think out of the three major sports, the only one that still works without a crowd is basketball. I think football is going to seem incredibly weird if you don't have a crowd there. Baseball, it couldn't be any quieter. We've seen enough of that already, and it seems creepy. But basketball, I still think works. Those guys scrimmage and play every day. You know what I mean? Even during the season. They'll still have scrimmage games in their practices, and those things are fun to watch. I think it's going to work.
Yeah, I think so too. And like we've seen videos of practices, we've seen videos of like pickup games, and there's not an audience, and it works. And you're gonna have the players on the bench like into the game having fun, so you will have some kind of noise at least. But like the weird stuff that they're suggesting doing for basketball and football is they want to use like NBA 2K audio and Madden audio for simulated crowd noise.
Why?
I have no idea. Like I don't want to hear what
creepy.
Yeah, like do you want to hear
It
what
is
the NFL
very creepy.
Do you want to hear what the NFL like wants you to cheer for? Like that's the concept that I don't really like is like they're trying to tell you what you should be cheering for and what you should be happy about. I would rather just react on my own than be given like a clue. It's not a sitcom where you need a fucking laugh track.
Yeah, but you want to know something crazy? I was at a fucking playoff game in Atlanta when they were playing the Phils, right? I go there, and you know that tomahawk chop thing?
Yeah.
That was coming in through the speakers. So it was, oh, they just start to play that. And then the people pick up on it. And I'm like, motherfucker, you guys aren't even fired up about this.
Yeah.
It's so
Sheep.
weird. Like, it's just, do you want to watch something and know that, like, if you're not seeing people in the crowd, why would you want to hear computer noise? It just take it for what it is at that point. You don't need
Like
that.
as though there's a ghost crowd.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Oh.
Like in wrestling, like they started doing, they brought out all of the like guys that are in their training program and they stand out in the crowd and cheer and shit. And like, it's still weird because, like I said, you're not getting a crowd response. You're getting people told when to cheer and when to boo.
Only one person should be cheering, Todd Pettengill. Other than that, nobody.
And then hockey. I believe hockey's coming back. I think that last I heard they were coming back. But I don't watch hockey anymore.
You mean the popularity? Yeah, no one does. I don't even know what it's on the fucking Picnic Network. I can never find it.
I remember last time I watched hockey, they were playing playoff games on the Versus Network.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't even think that channel's around anymore. I don't even remember. I just remember I couldn't find the Rangers playoff game, and I had to look it up, and it was on some channel called Versus.
You know, weirdly, the only sport that works without an audience is golf. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those people have to stay quiet anyway. I also think bowling works. Bowling should become our number one sport now until the quarantine is over. Oh, you know what's funny, Gail? You know who everybody is mad at now? Is Terry Crews. Did you see that story?
I did see the story. I saw the tweet as it came up, and I was like, "Whoa, bad take, Terry Crews."
So what exactly did he say?
So I believe that the tweet was, and I'll be paraphrasing, but I can look it up. But it's basically, to end white supremacy, you can't do it without white people because that's black supremacy. We have to all do this together. In which everyone responds, that's not a thing. And nobody's talking about that. It was just a very unhelpful, silly thing that doesn't exist.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of white people are part of the Black Lives movement, whether you like it or not. But I'm looking at all the other celebrities that called him out, and this one makes me happy. Godfrey is in here.
Nice.
Godfrey said there's no such thing as black supremacy. That is a tactic that racist white use to counteract our rebellion to their horrific treatment of us. It's called gaslighting. Black pride isn't anti-white. And then a lot of people said, well, Terry Crews, you let some guy grab your balls and you didn't even say anything about it until 2 months later.
Now, wasn't he and Heidi Klum both in hot water recently for, now I'm forgetting who the celebrity was, but she was saying that she was mistreated on the show, and she said, that the production was racist, and then he and Heidi Klum both were like, I didn't see any of that, which again is one of those, almost similar to like Me Too, when you're like, well, this person never groped me, so I don't think it's true.
It was.
I don't know. It's they both were on America's Got Talent.
Right.
It was
They were judges.
It was Gabrielle Union,
That's it.
and
yeah.
she was pissed too because he didn't defend her. But when he said that he got groped, she was one of the first people that came out and like supported him.
Then then he owed her. That's what I say. And then she should say when she got groped. But she was
Which
just
is
saying that
also
somebody
why-
was smoking cigarettes. That was her big beef. And everyone was like, we have enough. There's a fucking pandemic right now. Who cares?
Also, it's like Heidi Klum had that, so she also was like, I didn't see any racist issues on the show, which again is like not really a helpful response when somebody's talking about what happened to them. And then that had just happened, and then she had tweeted out last week, I believe it was early last week, a picture, and I think it was like her and like maybe her kids' hands all on top of each other. And she tweeted out, "All lives matter." And people were like, what the fuck? And, someone had sent this to me, and I'm like, to be fair, she is an idiot. So she might not understand what she just said. And then eventually she just simply deleted it. Never had any response, just took it off. So between those two things, she hasn't been in a good light herself.
All right, someone wrote back to Terry Crews, shut up, Bone Spurs. Good put down.
I guess it works for anyone.
Yeah. So Michael Che did his show over the weekend. There's stuff up on the iBang about it. And my favorite thing is just to see how crazy everyone's hair's gotten during the quarantine.
That's great. Joe DeRosa's hair. I was shocked.
Joe DeRosa looks like 1974. Our buddy Brian Martin wrote that story for the iBang. He went to the show, but I think he felt nervous about being too close. And you can see these pictures that ain't 6 feet in between people.
Yeah.
But there is 12 feet away from the comics. And then DeRosa's hair is just really big. Jay's got a lot of hair, but he's slicked it back a little bit.
Yeah. He knows how to handle it.
And Brian also said that Jay danced up too, because a lot of these people were protesters who walked over. And that Jay danced very close to racist jokes without going over the line.
Okay.
That's great. Earl, why weren't you at that show? He's not answering. Good. That'll teach me. No. All right. Why don't we go to break here? It's back on a Monday. This is the Bennington Show.
Faction Talk 103, it's the Bennington Show! Faction Talk 103, it's the Bennington Show!
Bennington, Bennington Show, oh, Bennington, Bennington Show, oh, the show starts at 2, they'll entertain you, they're a father and daughter show, B-double-N-I-N-G-T-O-N, Bennington Show, B-E-double-N-I-N-G-T-O-N, Bennington Show.
Bennington is
Kid-
back.
I didn't know which one of us was here.
Juju was just dancing to that and then said, "The Bear Show."
It really frustrates me that the bear is all that the kids are getting out of this. And I feel like the people on the show spend too much attention on the bear, too. It's just just a man in a bear suit. If we're going to be totally honest, I could see if it was a real bear.
The kids love the bear.
I heard from the network, they were like, we want more bear in the show, which I can live with. I mean, if the numbers are saying that the bear's popular. But then they said they really want us to work on the letter B and the number 7 more. I can't just focus on a number every day. Bennington, it's a kid show, Bennington. A fucking kid show. This bear's lots of fun. All right, somebody wrote to me, what a bullshit debate you guys were having. Michael Jackson is way more popular than Prince. Well, look, when you're saying who's the best, it doesn't matter about the popularity. You know what I mean? You could say, the most popular movie of all time is not the best movie of all time. You're saying,
if you
what
asked
is
me
the
who
best?
was most popular, I would have said Michael Jackson, Madonna, and then Prince. That's a different conversation.
Right. That's a whole different conversation. That's the kind of way that Earl votes, By the way, for being a rock guy, I was surprised to see Earl so quickly turn his back on Prince.
I thought for sure me and Earl's answers would have been identical.
And then here's the other weird thing about Earl. He goes from, he's bringing up the Jackson 5 for no apparent reason. We're talking about those pop stars.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Michael was just he just exploded out the gate. I mean, he was a full-fledged. He sounded like a full-fledged as a kid.
We're looking at as an individual performer, okay? So you're basically going 1978 or whenever Prince made his first album, and then Michael at the same time became a full-time solo act.
Yes, and made Off the Wall, which was this incredible album, which you could put it on today and it'll still.
I'm sorry, who produced that album? Who produced that album?
Jones.
And who produced Prince's albums?
Prince did all the production.
Now, we were talking about who's the most talented person across the thing. Prince wrote better songs. He produced his albums. He played every fucking instrument on his early albums. And then later produced and gave away songs to other people. I don't even think this is close into, the only thing that you could debate between the two of them is dancing. That's the only thing. And Michael was a Broadway dancer, and Prince was a rock and roll / soul dancer, much in the way of James Brown, which to me is completely different kind of dancing.
Yes, but Michael became this thing, this phenomenon, this you can't even
this hype
explain
machine.
So,
No,
it's a once
here's
in a
the thing:
lifetime.
you can explain it. It's a hype thing, a 100% hype. And I would honestly say this: Michael's dancing like a Broadway dancer would say, "Oh, Michael Jackson is a better dancer," but a rock and roll person enjoys the kind of dancing that Mick Jagger or Elvis or James Brown did, which is just a guy losing his shit. And that's what Prince brought to the table. If I was going to say who was the most hype person, obviously it's Pepsi Cola, Mike Jacks.
Yeah, I mean, yes, both of them went through the weird periods. Prince went through the symbol period. Michael went through.
First of all, I fucking love that shit. The fact that the whole symbol thing was very, very cool in a Bowie way. The only people who reacted poorly to it was the corporations.
Yeah, Warner Brothers lost their crap, but I mean, Prince had a bunch of clunkers too along the way too. He did.
Yes, experimental albums. Experimental albums. The big fucking difference. Than trying.
I mean,
to...
I'm even saying this, and I would guess even between the two of you, I probably enjoy a later Michael Jackson than both of you, and I still put him at a very low second because I I feel like, a lot of people will go with Michael Jackson up to a certain point. But for me, dangerous era Michael Jackson is when I was little. So, like, when Michael Jackson was, like, pretty much like a fancy, pretty white lady.
Yeah.
I love that era.
Well, he kept us engaged. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Remember the time? Black or white? Some jams on that album.
Not for me, but okay. I just think one guy had a pet monkey and the other guy banged all kinds of beautiful women. That's all I'm saying.
His
surprised
gallery
that-
ladies
you know-
is impressive.
I don't know why I should be surprised by corporate Earl Douglas, but I am.
I'm at the Black Rock College, which is far from corporate.
Oh, really? Then which one of those would you say is the better black rock artist?
Oh, better. Oh, I'll concede Prince is clearly the better black rock artist. But Michael
the
had
better
his
artist.
Black rock moments.
Name one. Not paying Eddie Van Halen? I
is-
loved it.
He is the artist.
This was a Jackson's track, but State of Shock. They covered.
You got to stop. You got to stop with the Jackson stuff. It's not fair. It's not fucking fair. We're talking about the singles.
Yeah, black and white with Slash.
Stop it. That song stunk.
I think obviously Beat It with Eddie Van Halen.
Isn't it hilarious that he would not pay Eddie Van Halen?
He didn't?
It was the biggest fucking selling album of all time. And Eddie came over and laid that track down, and they never paid him for it, ever, to this day, even though it's been brought up many, many times. And, like, you think that once they saw it in the paper once, they would go, holy shit, forgot. Here's 100,000 out of the 50 million we made. Never paid him.
It's really weird.
And Michael said, I'm too busy paying off children that I had sleep overnight at my house.
Well, there was a story that Quincy had told that he called Eddie Van Halen to do the track, and Eddie thought it was Dave and kept hanging up the phone on him.
Well, what's that got to do with anything? I mean, I guess that's a little fun fact if I was overnight DJ. You know what I mean? But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. All right, it's the Bennington show on a Monday. That kid show of ours is, I'm starting to think, is more problems than it's worth. I'm going to be totally honest about that.
I mean, the kids like the bear. You got to go with what they like.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing for me, though, because I don't have a bear suit. If I would have known this, I came dressed as an octopus. All right. Let's get in the movie club. Gail, what was the movie that you recommended to us?
The movie that I chose this week was The Kindergarten Teacher, starring Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Let's go to Chris Stanley first. Chris, what did you think of this movie?
I liked it. It left me feeling really sad because this is like this weird profile on a woman who had just had a life that she didn't want, and then she does something so fucked up that she's just lashing out because she's miserable. But then she also does this thing that she should not have done. But in the end, I did like the film, just because I thought Maggie Gyllenhaal was great, and the kid was great too.
Look, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I found it to be hysterical. I thought it was so funny and surprising because you take a guy who's an action star and now he's showing off his comedy chops and the way he reacted with those kids, his big line. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor. I thought that was hilarious. So I'm going to give 2 big thumbs up.
I'll take it.
Gail, what did you think of the movie that you picked, Sight Unseen?
I thought that it was fantastic. I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal
is ridiculously talented. I mean, honestly, she's one of our best. I really do believe that. Hard to discuss.
Well, I think she's laughing in your face.
Yeah, I mean, I found out only after that it was a remake of, I believe, an Israeli film. I just thought the pacing of it was really great. I thought that there was plenty of opportunity for them to have made this much broader, stereotypical villain type, and I thought that it was done very subtly and really, really well, while still maintaining, that kind of anxiety as though anything could happen.
Yeah, man, I was so worried she was going to make that kid her boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, it was so feeling that way, or maybe it's just the creepiness of the era, but I'm like, please don't make out with this little boy. Because she started to look like she was romantically feeling about him. Vito, what did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I felt like it reminded me of the stress of watching one of those Safdie brothers movies where every decision she made just like gave me anxiety. She's really good at playing somebody just over everything and just in a bad spot. The guy who played the professor did a really good job. And although we didn't see much of the inside of the house, I'm going to focus on the backyard. The backyard had a really nice deck. I appreciated the pool. That I feel like they could not afford a total below ground pool, but they made with what they could, and they had one of those partial ones, and it looked like a nice setup for what they had. Points taken away because it wasn't Staten Island, but overall, I did like their little backyard setup where they let their kids smoke weed because they're hippies, as the daughter said.
I have to say this. I thought the weirdest thing about the movie, and the last scene kind of proved it, is that she was right. And if they hadn't stopped her from this thing that she was drawn to do, which was to make this kid's talent out the top. Like, normally, if somebody would come to the parents and says, I think that your kid has an unbelievable talent, most people would go, let's chase it. You know what I mean? Let's do something. These people really did ignore the fact that the kid had talent.
Right.
If they would have went along with it, maybe she wouldn't have went crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that was what made this like so much more interesting, like, than if they had done it in a broader way. I mean, first of all, you're talking about talent, which is, not something that, it's not like he was a math whiz or he was even great at a sport. It's just like, no, I'm telling you, these poems are, at a different level. It's not something you can explain to everybody. And then I think it was also interesting that a big part of that was, I think that, it was implied that this kid was somehow on the spectrum. And so that's, I thought, what really made his talent, like that his dad wanted to kind of sweep it under the rug, because I think there was this idea of that he just simply wasn't understood, not only by his talent, but just the way his brain worked.
Yeah, and the last scene was so sad for that, right? That dies now. That literally dies. Now, it doesn't mean that the kid would have been, the Mozart of poetry, but he had a shot. He had somebody who really cared and was ready to nurture, just like you do with a young gymnast or whatever you have, a math whiz. But when the father said, look, he needs to be practical, you know what I mean? And the kid was in kindergarten, I want to raise him in a practical way. She would have been the hero of any other movie. The hero.
Right.
Let's go to Earl Douglas for this. Earl.
Really enjoyed the film. I thought the running theme through the whole movie was detachment. Everyone seems very detached. See, Maggie Gyllenhaal's character and her family, they were detached, the marriage. And she finds this connection, and she's trying to nurture this connection, and everyone's so detached they don't realize that, hey, like you said, this kid has a talent that needed to be
So
nurtured.
you're going with me. You think that she would have been the hero if they would have went
in
along with it.
In any other film, she would have been like, this could have easily been one of those feel-good movies, you know. But they went in this whole other different direction with it, where she's the only one who seems to realize it, and everyone else is kind of, you know, just kind of brushing it off. You know, he's just being a kid. He's just a different kid, and she's like, no, this kid has real
that's true
talent.
to a certain extent, but I thought what was interesting is the way that she used the poetry class, like as though to see, like she was like, am I crazy? Can they hear this, believe that an adult wrote it, and see that it's different from
Brilliant.
my own talent? And I thought that was so smart, because there was a point where, you know, kind of early in the film, you're thinking, or at least I thought it was a possibility, is she going to try to pass this off as her own work? But it was so much smarter than that, that she just wanted to see what people would think of it. And even
Love
in
it.
that moment when she, you know, she takes him to do the poetry reading, and he says who Anna is to him, and you see that she has like this like mix of really bizarre and concerning emotions, where obviously she has this feeling of jealousy that it's, you know, this other teacher, but also that she's like, I'm okay, I guess this is my job. This is my thankless job to the world, that I am going to, you know, make sure that this kid's talent is first and foremost, even if it hurts me personally, which was so strange and I thought done really well.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, that other, I wouldn't have been, I would have liked the other one too. I would have liked that babysitter with the short shorts and the
Short shorts.
and the S cheeks spread apart. Earl, I asked you to find the musicians. You wouldn't do it for me. Stranger in Kentucky. I can't even go through all of them that would have been part of the class of '76. Grandmaster Flash, Jules Holland, Anita Baker, Marion Chapin Carpenter, Gary Newman, Jane Whedon, Jello Biafra, Belinda Carlisle, Lita Ford, Tanya Tucker, Thomas Dolby, Simon LeBond. I have to say this. Chris Stanley and Earl Douglas, terrible Googling today. Terrible Googling job. That could have been a long, fun segment. What did you guys do? You shat upon it. You, like any fucking bread bro, you pulled your pants down, you turned the truck over, and you shat upon it. Why wouldn't you guys have taken a second? Why wouldn't you have just taken a second and looked that up?
I jumped the gun on Andy Gibb. I would like to say that I did add Andy Gibb into the conversation.
That's not enough. When I just read off that thing, I just read off. This might have been the greatest class in the history of the planet Earth. We could have debated that. Maybe we could have even taken it and looked at other classes. But you guys are like, what's the least I can do to fuck up this bit? Here, I'll just do this.
I want to apologize to everyone.
Did
You're
everybody
obsessed
get to
with
give
Andy
their?
Gibb.
Did everybody get it on this? Did anybody not give their review?
I think everyone gave their review.
Did anyone not like the film?
I
Okay,
don't think so.
Gail.
This is another success for me, I feel.
Now I got to bring this up to you guys, and it's going to probably embarrass some people. I'm watching the Neil Rosen get together, talking pictures with Neil Rosen, and they're doing our gimmick of going back and trying to find movies to talk about. And yet, who's the feminist girl in there who gets so mad at Neil?
Oh, I'm forgetting her name, but she's so great.
We'll let Chris and Earl, whoever gets it first, is the big winner today.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm going to call that the winner of the losers. So, what movie does she pick? The Robert Altman film, The Long Goodbye, that Earl picked. And all four of them said the same thing as us. It has no plot, but I loved it.
Lisa Roman.
Say it again?
Lisa Rosman.
Now,
I missed an S there.
Did you say Lisa Roman at first?
Yeah. Lisa Roman.
And then he said he mispronounced instead of pronounced. But they're like, Altman doesn't need a plot. I was fucking laughing my ass off. It was every complaint we had about the movie, but loved it. And here's the thing: I'm not a big Robert Altman fan. I think he's probably one of the most annoying filmmakers that there is. I'm going to give you another one. Paul Mazursky drives me fucking crazy from the same era. Everyone loves him. And I watch those films and I just feel like choking somebody the whole time I'm watching it. Welcome back to this week's Overrated Film Makers, where we pick apart people that are far more talented than us. Let's take a long look at the shitty, crappy movies of Robert Altman. MASH!
Yes, babe. What you need?
What's she looking for? Why would you say someone's name
shadow.
over and over?
That's your shadow.
Oh. Tell her she can stick it on with soap.
That's your shadow. A shadow juju.
Shadow Juju.
Right.
Oh, that's scary.
Next horror film, Shadow Juju.
Oh.
You were dancing with your shadow?
Chris just found his shadow 2 days ago.
That is so good, Chris.
Yeah, it was massive.
Quite large.
Chris, I heard a rumor that during this time that, and you could tell me if it's not true, or you could tell me it's none of my business. But I hear you guys are pregnant. I hear you guys are pregnant during quarantine.
Oh my God, is it true?
That is untrue. That is, I don't know who's spreading this rumor. That is not true.
You mean you're just not ready to announce it?
No. I'm saying that it's not true. It's not. That did not happen. It isn't reality.
Hey, Vito, have you had the opportunity to see your very special lady yet?
Not yet. I'm going to do it soon. I think the weather is getting nicer, and I've been working myself up on this bike, so I'm going to make the long trek to Williamsburg.
You could run to Williamsburg the way you've been running.
I know, but then it's like I just get afraid of getting there and then having to run back.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
What,
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
what did you get?
A sock.
What'd you get, Mama? Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a sock. That's Mama's sock.
Tell her it's Pop-Up sock.
Is this Pop-Pop sock? Oh, yeah, it is Pop-Pop sock, I guess.
Yeah, send that back to me, would you? FedEx it.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you want to talk to him?
Hey, baby, it's Pop-Up.
Here, let me give you the headphones so you can hear it.
That's Pop-Up sock. Now she's just listening. Yeah, it's Pop-Up.
Did you hear him?
You got an ice cream cone?
You said you need an ice cream cone?
What?
Yeah, ice
That's
cream
right.
cone.
Ice cream cone. Because it's summer.
Here. There you go.
I hear people are looting these canes.
Tell Juju I got the same ice cream cone. I got a bunch of them in the freezer. Mama's sock.
Mama's sock. Yeah, that's
Just
Mama's
put your
sock.
sock on, Gail.
It's very warm. I don't want to wear it. I'll just hold it.
Pop-up sock?
Yeah,
Sure.
let's Pop-Up
Yeah,
sock.
that is. Oh, yeah. You could wear it like an Elsa hand.
That's what she calls gloves.
Oh, okay. This is Spy Report.
Spy report. Spy report.
the cop who shoved the woman to the ground during the George Floyd protest that was very early on.
Yeah.
Remember that guy in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
He's going to be arrested.
Wow, that's it's really wild to hear that, because there's been so many of those videos, and I'm like, at what point are we going to start identifying these cops for this behavior?
No, that guy is. He's being busted. So everybody can settle the fuck down.
Well, that's
Plus, you know that she's gonna have she's gonna have a nice fucking payday from the city. You know what I mean? The city's gonna be glad to pay that one off. Like, yeah, you got us. What can I fucking tell you? You got us. Oh, did you see the woman in the store that was telling that woman to go back to Mexico? I can't believe people let themselves get caught on video like this.
I know.
All the time.
And like, the thing that I think is really interesting is a lot of times people seem like they're in a public place. They start fighting with someone and saying something racist. They see someone pull out a camera, and instead of going, I better zip it, they're like, I'm going to double down with how crazy I'm getting. Like, she knew she was being filmed, and it didn't stop her insane behavior.
Maybe people still, like, unless you're on the internet all the time, you really don't understand how big the viral videos get. You know what I mean? You just
Right.
feel like, good, show your fucking friends. What do I care?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh,
Damn.
thank you.
What'd you get this time?
It's a candle. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a really nice present.
Vito, people are asking if you could do a better job of monitoring those other phone lines when they're not talking.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll open it.
What do you got to open?
There you go.
What did you open for, Gail?
It's a box with a candle in it.
It's called a candle box. Nice little 90s band that Earl was a big fan of. Said that was better than Prince.
Earl, I feel like that's way off.
No.
Earl, here's what I want you to do. Just tell me the Michael Jackson songs that you love. Whoa, you don't have one?
Well, I'm just trying to pick
Thank you.
off my head.
Now, you can't pick out one song off the top of your head. Gail, how many Prince songs do you think that you could be proud to love? 10? 20?
Yeah, I mean,
30?
I would say probably in the 30 to 40 range. I mean, first of all, you would just go through Purple Rain alone, and like there's a perfect album already done before you start picking apart other songs you like from other albums.
Yeah, of course. Has Michael Jackson did one song as good as 1999? Has he done one song as good as Little Red Corvette? Has he done one song as good as Raspberry Beret? No.
I Would Die for You. Maybe no. I don't think anyone's done as songs as good as that.
And being able to make up their own sign language. Yeah, it's Pop Up. Pop Up is defending Prince on his birthday. Well, the day after his birthday. Yes, it's Pop Up. You know? Yes. It is Pop Up. I'm doing a show right now, honey.
Look, here, baby. Take this. There you go.
Who do you think misses me more, Juju or Birdie?
Oh my God. I guess you like the way we understand it. It would be Juju, but Birdie probably does in her own way. Because I think like if you were to gauge the difference between if you were to see both of them right now, Birdie would win.
Mm-hmm.
Birdie would lose her
Birdie
mind. Juju
I've
might
never
just
had
be
it.
like, oh, good, that guy I always Zoom with.
Yeah. Yeah. Birdie, I don't even have a single human friend who reacts to me the way Birdie does when she sees me. And then, like, she'll go crazy for, I'll say, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then she'll go lay down for the next 12 hours and not give a fuck. That's why I get along so good with Birdie. We can have that bigger-than-life moment. Hey, isn't it odd that Earl couldn't think of one Michael Jackson song? Not a single one?
No, I mean, it wasn't one. It was just like, which one? You know, it's like...
No, that's bullshit. Because you were asked to name as many as you could. I didn't ask you to name your favorite Michael Jackson.
I was thinking like the definitive one, and there's a lot of them.
No, well, wait a minute. No one asked for a definitive. I said, how many Michael Jackson songs do you love? Not sit around and think about the best Michael Jackson song.
I mean, basically, first half of Off the Wall, first half of Thriller, first half of,
Not one of those is a song that you love.
Yeah,
Not one of those. After all this
PYT is a
time.
perfect song.
Exactly right. That's how most of it. What was
Don't
it?
Stop Till You Get Enough's a great song. Working Day and Night's a great song. Yeah, Get on the Floor is a great song. Beat It's a great song. Billie Jean's a great song.
Oh wait, guess who finally is Googling?
No, I'm not Googling. I'm naming it off the top of my head.
Dude, you act like you just came up with it off the top of your head. We're 8 minutes into
I'm really
this.
thinking this off the top of my head. I'm like,
Vito.
that's what
Vito.
That's what I'm saying. Thinking like, I was like,
Vito.
Yes.
When he's cheating, he's got to be called out on it.
Well, he obviously, the question was name as many as you can, and which point Gail said I could name 20 to 30 Prince songs. So the whole time the argument was name as many. It was never, can you come up with a single song?
all right, and that's where I got stuck. And that was my fault. But I mean, but again,
No, that's plenty right there. That's plenty right there. When you just said that was my fault, you could have just said I purposely torpedoed the bit for the third time. You know how you would work better, Earl, is if you had a baby on your lap. And you know who else worked well like that? Michael Jackson. This isn't so much that Earl likes Michael Jackson. He hates Prince.
Wow, I never thought that I would hear that.
Prince. I mean, my top 10 shows, that's the greatest show that I've ever seen. 6 of them were Prince shows.
And yet he
show I've ever
doesn't.
seen.
But when we started this, you picked Michael over him. And let's be honest about this. Has Michael ever done a tour? I mean, he prepared for a tour and it killed him. He finally was going to do that big tour, and it killed him.
Yeah, the touring part was, that was just his lax. I mean, they did the Victory Tour, which was...
Isn't it really weird that, again, you're back to the Jackson 5. Isn't it weird that two guys that never did drugs died from drug overdoses and drug abuse?
Yeah, that's true.
And Elvis was the same way. Elvis only did legal drugs, and it killed him.
Well, the Prince one was even more shocking because he was very vocal about how anti-drug he was. Like, I don't even think he drank.
Well,
and he was
no, he didn't. He didn't smoke weed. He thought he was taking medicine. And fucking climbed up on his back, a drug addiction. Vito, that's why I fucking beg you, do not, you know what I mean? Don't get all whacked out on drugs like you were for a while there when you were at your fattest.
It was a rough time. Sometimes I look back and at my weight, I don't know how I did what I did.
What do you mean?
Like I look at my pure weight and like how much I would drink and how much coke I would do.
Your pure weight.
And like my heart shouldn't have been able to go on like it did. And sometimes I don't get how that worked because I was close to 400 pounds and I was sweaty without drinking or doing drugs.
All right. By the way, Vito, you were close to 400 pounds on the wrong side of that. You were like 410. Now, here's the other thing. You could have had a song where My Heart Cannot Go On. That could have been your hit Titanic theme. My heart will not go on. Well, the one thing
While
that
you're
you
blowing
had,
rails.
yeah, the one thing that you had on your side is that you were young. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, like, I look back on the drug use, and I look back on when I was a kid, there was a soda I would drink that I didn't even know it was an energy drink. And I would drink, like, 4 or 5 of them a day because I just thought it was soda. And then I looked it up recently, and it was, like, straight Red Bull, basically. So the amount of stuff I've put my heart through for the past 20 years with gaining weight and losing weight, and all of
They
that.
say that's the best thing for your heart is like massive gains and massive weight
Extreme
loss.
fluctuation.
Really? You know what? That's good news.
Yeah. My heart won't go on.
When do you think you'll go? When do you think you'll go back to being fat again, Vito?
I don't know. I'm trying not to do it again, but I mean, if you do it 3 times, you can't really. It's weird to bet against yourself.
Look, that pasta and cocaine diet you're on, I think, worked for you in a way.
CD and cocaine.
Sometimes I would eat so much I would be out of breath, and then I just wouldn't want to get up. I would just be really out of breath and sweaty. And it wasn't like once in a while. I would say 2 times a week. I would eat so much that I would be like, ooh.
Well, did you ever notice in those eating contests, the guys will be sweating hard too, because it's like working out. If you're eating, 50, 60 hot dogs, it's like you were running.
That I've run marathons, Ron.
Your digestion believes that you have. It's trying to digest as fast as it can. All right, the cop who killed George Pink Floyd, who, by the way, stop sending this around. It's not Ben Bailey. Stop it. It's just 2 guys that have short hair. His bail is $1.25 million.
Wow, I thought it would be pretty high.
I guarantee you, if they did a thing for him, he'd raise that much money.
Oh yeah. From cops alone.
I think there's plenty of people that would be out there to say, yeah, I'd like to get this guy off. I thought he did the right thing kneeling on that guy's neck. Oh, this is interesting. New York Post just gave 4 stars to The King of Staten Island, the Pete Davidson movie. 4 stars. More stars than are in the movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It comes out this Friday. And it's not like I got a lot on my calendar right now.
Yeah, things are open.
Did you guys see the thing Bono did with The Beautiful Day? He got the different stars to sing A Beautiful Day. And then he was talking about, I think this was one of those things like I had to do where you're talking to the class of 2020. So this is what he said. For many black Americans, Lady Liberty's torch is far from a beacon of hope. It's often a flashlight in the face. It's a torch.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I feel like you could have used a more dramatic metaphor. I mean, it's fire. We could have gone anywhere with this. Just a bright light in the face.
Oh, I think he meant like a cop's flashlight that they hit you with.
Sure. I get it. I just think we could have gone with something a little heavier.
I thought that you meant that they just put a flashlight in people's eyes, kind of momentarily blinding them. It's so fucking funny the way everybody needs to chime in. I think the only person that I'm glad is talking is Terry Crews. Everybody else is on my nerves. But Terry Crews nailed it for me.
What about Mark Wahlberg? Good take?
I didn't keep up with the Funky Bunch. What's going on right there?
So Mark Wahlberg tweeted out a message. I feel like it was a probably pretty generic kind of Black Lives Matter message. And everyone reminded him about that very intense hate crime that he was. No mention of that when he said it. But yeah,
when he
people
was a
reminded
kid.
everyone.
He
Yeah.
knocked an Asian guy's eyeball out, right? With a stick, hit him in the head with a stick, and his eye fell out.
Yeah, but people were talking about one where he was like throwing rocks and, screaming the N-word, and then he, I guess,
When
was
did this
arrested
happen?
for it.
I didn't even know that. It was
I
like
think
2
this was
weeks
in the
ago.
80s.
It's in 86.
86.
Now, here's all I want to hear from Mark Wahlberg. We are on for The Fighter 2. The Fighter 2. And this time, there'll be more MTV girls. She thinks she's one of those MTV girls. It was my favorite fucking line in that movie. I think The Fighter is hilarious.
Yeah, I really liked that movie.
I'm still trying to figure out what went wrong with poor Vince Vaughn. How did he end up like this?
Yeah. He had every opportunity in the world.
He'll be back. That's my opinion. That the 20s are going to be the Vaughn decade.
You think so?
Let me
just
say
seems
this.
like- It
If
just
I was
seems
to
like,
write a
how could you
review-
mess up the heat that he got from the Wedding Crashers? It just didn't seem like he could ever fall after that.
My review would be this of the next big movie he does. My review, the headline's going to be, "My Heart Will Go Vaughn."
That's good.
I've already written it. Don't even so much care what the movie is. Hey, why don't we break fast? Get it? Break fast? All right, back. Bingo, bango, Bennington.
Faction Talk 103, it's the Bennington Show. Faction Talk 103, it's the Bennington Show.
Bennington is back. And GPS Quarantine is available now on demand on the SiriusXM app and on SiriusXM.com, as well as Ron's One Flew Over the Comedy Club. And that features Greg Stone, Sarah Tolomash, Adrian Iapolucci, and Seton Smith. So go check it out.
The funny thing is about that. First of all, it's hilarious. I'm going to do another one next week. And the reason why is I don't have much to do right now, Gal. I'm going to be totally honest. I sit around here at night, and it's either, hey, can I do a show or watch King of Queens? And, but I
Both are
love that little
good.
wife. Yeah, I love that little wife. Now, here's the deal. Almost a thing came up during this with Iapolucci and Telemach that made me think we could even have another show because they got into bad pitch meetings. And a pitch meeting is this. You go out to Los Angeles, California, home of the Doors. You go into one of the networks, and hopefully you have a couple networks lined up, and you pitch them on a TV show. And once you're in the business and you have an agent, you could be doing this full time. Like every day, you could go out and pitch something. And normally the big thing is if you're a young comic who has a bit, you take one of the bits and act like that could be a sitcom. You know what I mean? Like you do a bit with how dumb school is, and then they make you the school teacher. And, every once in a while, one of these ideas will sell to make a pilot. Every once in a while, the pilot will be greenlit and, go to series. But it's rare. Now, a lot of times there can be money before that, so it's worth doing. They could give you $50,000, $60,000 to, creative to write up the first episode, stuff like that. So what came into it is Sarah and got into this thing where it all went a little south. So we're going to play this. This is on demand now from One Flew Over the Comedy Club, but it really had me laughing. Do I need anything else to set this up, Chris? You're the guy who edited this.
No. This is Sarah Tolomash and Adrian Iambelucci telling a story of a bad pitch meeting they were in together.
All right, let's just take a listen to it then.
We were working on our pitch for this show that we were writing together, and this lady was helping, but she didn't like our standpoint, and it just ended up, we were making jokes, and she was not on board with us, and then it just escalated, and then Adrian leaned into it some more.
Gotta commit. She was like a fake woke white lady who was joking around about how Weinstein never sexually assaulted her. So I thought she had a decent sense of humor, and then she all of a sudden switched it to how I must have voted for Trump, and I was like, why?
What?
Because I don't believe. Yeah, it was so crazy how she was we're headed towards the Handmaid's Tale, and I remember telling her, I was like, well, you can just jump out that window right there.
And this is somebody that you're trying to get to like you, and you told her to jump out of a window.
If she's worried that we're headed towards the Handmaid's Tale, just jump out the window, man.
Yeah. Well,
a horrible future. I was like, now I see why Weinstein never sexually assaulted you. You are not.
Now, here's the funny thing about Adrian. Before that, Chris didn't have this part in it. They talked about on their own dime, they got onto a plane, flew out to Los Angeles to and got a hotel room, and then went to this meeting, and then had to fly back to New York. All that, and within seconds, she's telling this woman to jump out of a window, and that she's not even rapeable. She's saying there's a reason why Weinstein wouldn't rape you. So then Greg Stone heard that, decided he had a topper. He had a pitch meeting here in New York that also went south.
So it's a pitch meeting for, it was whatever fucking place that was. I had to go to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom. The three people are standing there looking at me, and they go, "Are you ready?" And I went, "Oh, damn, I can't believe taking a shit is going to make me lose the show." And they were like, "Actually, we don't have control over your career." And I was like, "Okay." And I said, "Let me just," I was like, maybe I should, to let you know I'm funny, maybe I should do a joke to let you know I'm funny, and I was clearly joking. And she goes, "If you'd like to tell a joke, you can tell one." And I was like, "All right." So then we start walking towards the office or whatever. We go in the office, we're sitting down. She starts telling me whatever, have any ideas and all of this. And I tried to reset the room, and it was for IFC. And as a joke, I tried to go, "Oh, hey, man, I can't wait to fight Brock Lesnar." Tried to make a UFC joke, to which he says, "You mean the guy who raped that woman behind the dumpster?" And I went, "Oh, no, this is not going. Well, this is not what I wanted to say."
Google that. Did Brock Lesnar do that?
And she goes, "Well, what about you?" And I go, "Well, I'm the funniest comedian in New York." She takes out a pen and writes down "funniest comedian in New York." And I was like, I can't believe you just wrote that down. This is crazy. And I go, "Let me reset." And this is how the meeting ends. I go, "Wow, what is it? What are you looking for?" And she goes, "We are looking for shows written for women by women." And
She
I went,
foo-booed you.
Why am I here? Why did we not Zoom chat this?
Why
did
is
this
Shitty
happen?
here? Why is Shit Boy
Yes.
showing up for this pitch?
And I walked over to the window,
Yeah.
opened it up, and I like Goofy.
Yeah.
I did a Goofy dive right out into the concrete.
All right. First of all, how do you not shit before your meeting? I mean, if I had a meeting with someone, I'm a network, and I said we have a meeting, and he says I have to take a shit, I'd be like, this guy cannot handle the high pressure world
He can't
of
even
television.
schedule his own shits.
He
So how
can't
am I
schedule
gonna
his shit.
Expect scripts
All right.
on time.
Now, I love Greg, and yet the IFC UFC joke doesn't work at all.
Doesn't make sense.
You can't act like I've never heard of your network or try to do a joke. If I have something with ABC, I'm not going to go, oh, I thought this was an alphabet pitch. You know what I mean? Like, it would be a disaster. That's a stupid idea. 3, and this is the most important, when you feel the need to reset the room, reset the conversation, like, oh, you don't announce, let's reset the conversation.
Yeah,
You push them in that direction through your intellect, but you don't say, I'm going to reset your mind right now. That doesn't work.
Most charm doesn't happen when somebody starts going, all right, let me just try being charming for a second.
Thank you. That's what he did. Let me try to charm you. And then I'm going to go to Vito for this. Vito, what is this Brock Lesnar horrible rumor? I've never heard this before.
So I think that she's talking about that kid Brock Turner, the Stanford swimmer.
Okay.
God.
All
so there's a
right.
lot of
Good
confusion
save.
happening.
Yeah. This idea is not going to sell. And also, I love Greg Stone, but I'll say to all the major networks, you don't want to be in business with him. He's childish. He plays with toys. He's going to have a fun life as a stand-up comic. Would I think that he would make a good showrunner? Please, stop it. Stop it. So this is the mind of a comedian. They would rather crowd work executives than sell an idea to them. It's almost like they would start a meeting with, well, you're fat, so you're probably going to get this.
Don't you think it's so weird? Like, okay, it's one thing on him where you're like, okay, yes, he's blowing this meeting. But you can see somebody who's like, if you would like to tell a joke, you may tell a joke. Like, this isn't somebody who values humor or talent, and this is the gatekeeper for him.
Here's the problem with that. A lot of times we try to hire people as, because they had a good college career. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you had a good college career, it means you studied, you worked hard, it doesn't mean that you would have a good sense of humor. And I don't mean that even by telling funny things. I mean by understanding funny things. This woman was obviously book smart. She was a note taker. She heard the term funniest comic in New York and had no idea he was being sarcastic.
Right. Exactly.
Craig Stone's never been the funniest guy at the Creek in the Cave. He's not the funniest guy on his podcast, and I love him. He's fun, yes. That had me fucking rolling, though. I don't know what it is in life that we love to hear about others' failure. You know what I mean? Like, your friend's failure is even better than hearing about a stranger's failure.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is about us that why is it the funniest thing in the world is someone you care about telling you about a personal tragedy.
I love when my friends tell me about times they've been beat up. I'll fucking roll on the ground laughing at that. But if you start telling me a story about how you beat somebody up, I'm suddenly, thinking about baseball.
Yeah, those are the worst stories, right? Like where you're the hero of the story. Anytime somebody tells you a story like that, you either are bored or you're like sitting there going, this is probably exaggerated. But if somebody tells you like the most horrifying, embarrassing thing happened to me and I made such a fool of myself and then I shit my pants in front of everyone, it's real
hilarious. It's wonderful. Now, here's the thing. I will listen if you tell me that your friend beat somebody up. That's always like, or somebody, you were at a bar and you saw somebody get beat up. That's interesting. But you beat them up, it just sounds like a lie. It sounds like something that a fucking psychopath would tell about themselves.
Right.
Now, do we even know what the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath is? I know that there's some defining difference, but I can never figure it out. Because I feel like...
I'm pretty sure a sociopath cannot empathize. One of them knows that it's the wrong thing to do, and then they do it anyway. And I think the other one doesn't understand right from wrong. And
so a psychopath is the more, the psychopath is the more dangerous type. Sociopath are normally, car salesmen, any kind of salesman probably. Lawyers tend to be good sociopaths. CEOs, the kind of people that can lay off a third of the fucking workforce while they give themselves a raise. That's a sociopath. They're go-getters. They get things done.
Right.
A psychopath tends to have the same thing, except for he'll cut somebody's fingers off.
Right. So, yeah, whichever, and I can't remember if that's the way or if it's flopped, but it is definitely that one of them can engage in a normal life and charm you into thinking that, they can, they're a good person when actually they're like manipulating you. And then the other type cannot live a normal life and they just like walk around raging and acting, crazy.
All right. Well, Greg Stone is both of those.
Right.
Greg Stone has all the paths that you're onto, except for the path train. He can't get on it. He feels like the water is going to come in from the sides. What would you say Chris Stanley is? Sociopath or psychopath?
I think he might be a psychopath. If we're right about which one is which, I think he might be a psychopath.
He's the type that would rape the girl behind the dumpster.
What?
Instead of in front of the dumpster, which would be a sociopath.
Right.
No, none of those things.
I will tell you because I've been asked before about Chris Stanley by the police, and I said, well, he's tense and nervous, and he can't relax. He's a psycho killer. And he can't seem to face up to the facts. He's tense and nervous.
That's true.
He can't relax. But Chris Stanley is the type of person who, if he walked into a bodega and there was no one there, he would either grab something off the counter or try to open up the money drawer. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't plan it, but if opportunity presented itself, he would. Like a woman passes out at a party, he's going to start fondling her.
No.
That's Chris Stanley. And he has no sense of smell, so his bread crust just burns. Much like the police van he lit on fire. Chris, what's the most sociopathic thing that you've ever done in your life?
I think you brought up stealing from bodegas during the blackout, I don't know, 10 years ago, when everyone was like, everyone in New York like maintained themselves. I did go to bodegas and I did like shoplift, and I didn't feel bad at all.
Yes, not feeling bad at all is what makes you dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, if you would went home and go, why did I do this horrible thing?
Yeah, I didn't think it was horrible at all. I just did it, and I felt good about myself. because I didn't have to pay for the things I stole, which was, I'll admit, beer.
Yeah, because you're an alcoholic.
Sure. I found
All right, this was just written to me. Bundy was a psychopath. So Bundy, and also a sociopath. So Bundy would make everybody think he was nice, and then he would kill them.
Right. Okay. So psychopathic behavior. Yeah, I definitely thought it was the opposite because it sounds like a Doesn't that sound like as though you can be social or something?
Yes, it does.
But psychopath is that, like, just when I hear those words, psychopath sounds like the one who should be raging and not in control. Sociopath sounds like the one who's like cool and calm, but actually,
I just think that the person who goes around raging should just be called a nut, like a violent nut. That should be the medical name for it.
Mm-hmm. This guy is a real nut.
Now, would you say, like, Chris Stanley can fit into any kind of society, or is he on the outside of the society?
No, I think he's outside of society.
Yeah, he has zero charm. He's very, very blunt. Where Earl definitely appears to be normal. When people meet Earl, they like him. And here's the weird thing about Earl. He doesn't say anything. They just project their own thing on Earl, and then he does something incredibly violent. Now, out of all...
So he's a
and now
psychopath.
out of all our producers, oddly, Vito gets along nice with people, but he has a hair trigger temper. Hair trigger. And a lot of times he thinks he's being insulted when he's not. You know what I mean? Like somebody will say something and then Vito will come at them thinking that he tried to belittle them. Where Chris is okay with being belittled. He's almost like a masochist that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
he almost gets off on grossing people out or freaking them out.
So I would say for Vito, he is not a psychopath or a sociopath, but just has some sort of underlying rage disorder.
Yes, he has rage disorder. Like, here's the thing. Let's suppose there was a music store and Vito thought the guy insulted him. Vito would grab a trumpet and beat the man until he was unconscious.
I would.
Chris Stanley would take the trumpet, drop his pants, put the trumpet up to his asshole, and literally start to play a song with it as a way of getting even. You know what I mean? He would use his grossness to gain control. Where Vito is violently driven. Vito hits women.
I don't hit women. I don't do that.
Easy, Vito. Easy. Don't rage at me.
I don't want any trouble.
I do think I am an Italian hot-headed man who does not hit women.
Let's not stereotype, okay?
Also, that's never been a type.
Yeah.
An Italian who rages and
Yeah.
doesn't hit women?
Yeah.
The stereotype is that they just hit women.
I'm turning it
I
on
mean,
its
there's
head.
it's a reason why their T-shirt is called a wife beater for no other reason except for Italians wear that kind of T-shirt. That's the only reason. And there's no reason to have a T-shirt that doesn't fucking protect the armpits. It's stupid. They put on a T-shirt, but they still want their armpit stains. Which one? Now, the weird thing is, Earl seems like he doesn't have a temper, but he has a vicious temper.
He does, yeah. Much more even volatile than the other one.
Like, he shows up at the Black Lives Matters thing to fit into the crowd, so when the looting starts, he can loot. That's Earl.
Yeah, when I do get angry, I stay there.
Oh yeah, we know, Earl.
You
We
black
know.
out.
We've all seen it. Yeah. He calls it blackout matters. Like Earl will wake up the next day and not know if he did something horrible. His brain will shut down. Where I think Chris's thing is to just gross out the world. That's his.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
he's
gets him
succeeding.
off. Yeah. Vito, on the other hand, is just a stereotype. He said to me the other day, he says, Italian lives matter. I go, I'm not even sure if that's true.
I didn't say. I didn't say that. I would never say that.
Okay, but Ron couldn't have got it right. Who else on this show would have said that?
I don't
Only
know.
You.
Probably Chris or
me.
Earl.
Not me.
They said this. I was reading about homicides for Italian, and 99% of the time that an Italian is killed, it's either by a cousin or a best friend, because a phone call that came in from above.
Interesting.
Whack your cousin. Whack him. Whack 'em all right now. Whack him.
I think Chris would have an easier time killing anybody on this show than anybody else.
That's a good point.
That's bullshit.
You,
I don't
think-
Earl couldn't.
I think Earl could do it, but I don't think it would be easy for him. Like, I think he would maybe have, like, regret or even just be, like, in denial. Like
He would cry while he was doing it.
Look, let's face it.
I would definitely have.
Earl would bring the wrong tool and do it incorrectly, and probably end up killing the wrong person, and then say, that's my bad. I misunderstood. All right, out of the three of them, who do you think is most likely to commit suicide?
Chris.
That's a gimme. Yeah. Chris hates himself as much as other people hate Chris.
Why do people
And
hate me, though?
Here's how, if I was to pick how you were going to die, it's
Yeah.
choke on your own bread. Because I see the bites that you take.
Big bites, Ron. I can't help myself.
And you try to talk at the time that you have too big of a bite.
I'm just so happy with how it turns out. I just need to let people know how it tastes. It's usually good.
Yeah, I know.
The only reason I wouldn't give Chris the number one for suicide is because I think he would have to do murder-suicide. I don't see him going out without taking somebody else out with him.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, but I still-
that's an
it
obvious
still
answer. You're correct. Yeah, you're 100% correct. There will be. He's going to murder someone, feel like I can't do the time, kill himself.
Oh, yeah, I always think about that. That if I commit some crime, whether it be murder or something else, I'm looking at a long prison sentence. Yeah, it's over. I'll do it myself. Who cares? Fuck it.
Yeah,
Something
life
else. I mean,
means
how long would the
nothing to
crime
you.
have to be? Like, how long would you have to know that you'd be going away for you to say
2 weeks.
suicide?
If the cops ever called him about that ice cream cake he stole, he would just off himself right there.
You're
gotta
no
be-
different than that looter.
I forgot that I got blacked out drunk and stole an ice cream cake from Dunkin' Donuts. I wish I had that camera footage.
We had a Zoom meeting over the weekend. We were going over just different scheduling things since we haven't taken a vacation yet this year because of the quarantine. We've all been weirded out, and so we're all in a Zoom. As always, Earl doesn't show up for it, and then Chris is just banging out a beer, and Juju goes like this: "Chris has a bottle. Chris has a bottle." It was so funny to me that even a child could think a guy slamming beers during a business meeting is really strange.
It's like Saturday
It was a-
afternoon.
It was a 10-minute meeting, Chris. I understand it's your day off, but for 10 minutes, couldn't you make it look like you weren't day drinking?
You know what, Ron? I think you're right. I should have held it together better for that 10-minute meeting. But you know what? Looking back on it, that was a mistake. I can admit that.
That's Earl's line. You've taken it from him.
Let me finish.
Earl, why would you miss the meeting? Why is that so important to you that if something is scheduled, you don't show up?
I was never given the link to the meeting.
Oh, so you were prepared for the meeting. I was told that you said you couldn't make it.
I was told, he asked me, I was like, yes, I can make, I got a text if you can make the meeting. I was like, I'm out, but I could be home at this time. And he's like, okay, cool. And that was the last I heard about it.
Sounds like you couldn't make the meeting.
Yeah, he couldn't make the meeting. That's where it was at. He's like,
I don't know. It sounds
You
weird
can
that
do
Chris
it-
didn't
You
follow
can
up.
ask me what time I was going to be. I said,
You could do it on a phone, Chris. It's not a big deal. He didn't physically have to be anywhere.
I understand that, but he said he couldn't do it before a certain time, and it was hours and hours away, and I felt we needed to get this meeting in.
And Earl does
Now,
only Zoom on his phone anyway. It's not like he uses his iPod.
Right.
So.
Or quite frankly, he never even talks during the meeting.
I took that into account as well.
Next time, I'll make a virtual background that's a picture of Earl, and then I'll just sit to the right of it.
Dude, if you did that, I wouldn't know the difference. Earl, where were you during the quarantine? Phase 1 didn't even start until today. Where'd you go?
I was in Midtown. I went to Target, and I was going to check out some of the protests, and then I said I was going to be home before the curfew.
You were hoping that the Target was looted.
No, I wasn't. There was boards.
You had
They
said
had
Target.
the sides
Earl,
boarded
I'm
up.
on your side.
There's Targets closer to you than Midtown.
Earl, why are you going to Target all the time?
He's afraid of Queens.
I'm afraid of Queens. It's an hour and a half away. I'm 30 minutes from the Target in Midtown.
It's not an hour and a half away by train. How could that be?
How is it 30 minutes to a Target in Midtown, but you tell us it takes you like 90 minutes to get to work every day in Midtown?
Yeah, so I take a bus and a train. You have to take a bus to Jamaica Center.
No.
Then you got to take the.
I just
then you got
said,
to take the E train, and then transfer for the R train.
Earl, you ignored me. I said, how is it 30 minutes to get to a Target in Midtown, but you tell us to get to work in Midtown, it's an hour to an hour and a half.
Hour away. Target is up the block from Penn Station.
We are not an hour from Penn Station. We're not 30 minutes from Penn Station.
Target is a half a block away from Penn Station.
Does anybody else understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we all get you.
Yes.
We get you.
We're with you. You're
I
not
just don't
alone.
want you to rage at me, Vito. Yes, I'm with you.
Earl,
He'll take
30 minutes to get to Target, but an hour and a half to get to Sirius. Sirius and Target are not an
Because
hour
I take
away.
a bus, as I explained before, I take a bus and a train to get Sirius. During the pre-COVID days, I took a bus and a train because it's cheaper to get there by bus and a train. A monthly pass costs me $300 a month or something like that.
But you tell Chris and me constantly that you're on the railroad. We always get texts from you about your railroad updates.
Yes, because the service is so bad, I'll take a train in to even remotely get on time. That's what I always explain.
But you
I'm
just
like,
said that you weren't
the bus
taking...
service sucks. I'm going to jump on the train.
But you just said you weren't taking the road. You're all over the place.
I'm not all over the place. I take a bus and a train.
Hey, Earl, he caught you in a pack of lies. It's
I'm
fine.
I'm explaining it.
It's
perfectly
fine.
clear.
But,
You're a liar.
Earl, everybody lies. You got caught lying, though. That's the
I'm
thing.
lying.
When you get
Why would I
caught, you
lie?
should just say, look, I don't know. I don't know why you lied about it. I don't know why you lied and said that Michael Jackson was
Take a
more
bus.
talented
Take a
than
bus and a
Prince.
train.
You kept saying that you take a bus and a train.
Yeah.
They're saying it's just not true. No one ever catches you on the bus. They always catch you on the train.
Take the Q85, which is right across the street.
Oh, great. You know the bus
All right.
route near you.
Yes,
Right.
because I take it
Look.
every day.
Look, I understand. You want to make us think that you're a bus rider. I get it. You know what I mean? It looks cool. You look like a movie
Cool
star.
at all.
But they busted you. That's all. It happens.
I can name bus lines too. M66, M57, M104,
B41.
M23, M14, M14D.
Why am I just pick the Q85 out of my ass? I know that because I take it every day.
I know.
You
what
had
is
it
out of
like-
my ass.
I know, me neither. Because it
always
just
been
seems
gross.
like you're putting stuff up your asshole.
And then retrieving it with your hand.
Yeah, it's gross.
Oh.
Earl, so what? You don't ride buses. No one cares. You're still a great guy. You just got caught in a lie.
Calling one lie. I got a text, asked him what
The
time I
bus
was
lie.
available. I said I'll be home by 7:30, which I was actually home an hour early. I was home by 6:30. I never got the text.
Oh, we were early afternoon with that meeting.
Okay, no, but again, I never got the text saying what the Zoom time is going to, the Zoom link.
Why would
I
you?
mean, if you're on the bus, you could definitely do it. I've done it by phone. Of course, you probably weren't on a bus. It's just something you brag about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said I'll be home by 7:30. He wrote, I think he wrote okay, and that was that.
Why are you blaming
That
Chris,
was going
man?
to be later in the evening.
Yeah,
Chris
Earl,
did
why
nothing wrong.
are you always giving me shit, Earl?
I'm not giving you any. I'm just telling you what is.
He said shit, not crap.
He took
And
shit
you're
out
the
of his
one-
ass.
Yeah. Earl's the liar. He's trying to turn around back at me and calling me a liar or something. I don't get
Look,
it.
it's not that he's lying. He wants to ride the bus. He just hasn't done it yet. You know what I mean? But in his heart, he is a bus rider. Riders on the bus, bum 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 bum. Riders on the bus. Earl, you take a lot of pictures of yourself on the train. You never take one of you on the bus.
Never.
I take pictures of empty trains, and there's no reason to take them on the bus. Zero.
I don't know. Let us decide that.
Empty bus? That seems pretty cool. A whole moving bus with nobody
That's
on
the
it?
point. It's not empty. It might be now, but
Oh, because you haven't taken one in a long time.
no, I haven't
Years.
taken one. I take that back. I've taken one once.
In your life.
But you just were
have to
sitting
enter by
around
the back because
talking
you
about
can't-
how you take the bus all the time.
I didn't say. I said pre-COVID, I took the bus every day.
You did.
Wait,
though.
are you saying that when you were at the Target, it was pre-COVID?
No, I was when I go to Target, I take the LIR because it's easier to get there than taking a bus and two trains.
I just have to
It's
ask
e-
something really quick.
Yeah.
I just saw that chips is trending on Twitter. Does this have anything to do with you, Earl?
Earl. Are you back on the
No,
ship?
Is this about your chips?
No.
Wait, there's a rumor that Chip Chipperson is dead again. This happens
Maybe
all the
that's what it
time. Chippa trending right now. Earl, where do you sit on the bus?
Where do I sit? I always try to get one of those to the left of the bus. There's those single seats. I always try to grab the single seat.
It's an odd thing to say. You consider that first class?
No.
I bet Earl makes pregnant women stand on the bus.
All the time.
Don't, Earl.
No. God.
He actually pulls them out of their seat. They're sitting down. He pulls them up. Get up, biatch.
Earl.
Would never do that.
Me neither, Earl. That'd be awful, wouldn't it?
It's mean. I'm not mean. I don't think.
All right, there is just, you were right. There's just pictures of the trending chips, and they're saying, tell me what you call each food. That's the whole point. So there's chips, there's fries, and then there's the thicker French fry, I think.
I would call that a
I guess I think this is English people pushing this gimmick, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
they call
Must
French
be.
fries chips, like fucking idiots.
like weirdos.
And then the Aussies call the potato chips chips. They call the French fries chips, and they call the steak fries chips. So they
This is
just say
madness.
chips for whatever. I guess they call mashed potatoes chips. A baked potato chips. A fork, a chip. A kangaroo, they call that a chip. And then Vegemite, they just call Vegemite.
I mean,
I don't
this
think it
is
ever
almost
gets-
like the opposite of like how the Inuits have like over 50 words for snow. They just
Right.
have just most things are chips.
You know why? It's because the Aussies are down under and the blood rushes to their heads. Now, the weird thing, people in New Zealand, wonderful people. Everyone on the planet loves them. But there's no one that likes an Aussie. And I've never been anywhere in New York that an Aussie isn't there. I've never been anywhere in the world there hasn't been at
Can't.
least one Aussie there.
There's always one traveling Aussie.
And they'll sleep anywhere. They don't give a shit. Floor, park bench, hostel, it's all the same to them. Chip. It's just a fucking another chip day for them. The Aussies. Echo wrote this today, and maybe you guys would like to answer it. But it says, seriously, how does the Bennington Show producers get caught napping so much? Earl was completely non-responsive earlier when Ron called on him, and just now, waiting on Chris to answer felt like waiting for the bus to arrive. And this I like. Andrew wrote, Earl's been busted. Perfect. One of the things that gets to me about you guys on the air is most of the time you don't have an opinion. Or when you do have an opinion, your follow-up is to completely attack your own opinion.
I have a hard time sometimes talking, and I think that's maybe just years of being not so bright.
But why? You know how... I know. I know.
He has a hard time talking because of years of being not so bright. Chris,
It happens.
the funniest thing you've ever said.
But you picked a job where there's public speaking, and then you struggle with public speaking. This would be like being a pilot that was afraid to fly.
I struggle with private speaking.
All right, now, what about you, Earl? What's your excuse?
My excuse? I mean, like, no, I just, you try to, I try to think before I speak, and sometimes I think too long. That's, you don't have that, the Michael question, that's a tough question. It's like.
It's a simple
I
question.
thought it was a tough
It's
question.
it's the easiest question in the world. But here's the thing. What you try to do in this business is bring up conversation. That's the point of it, right? To have a conversation. It's not definitive. Nothing happens. You don't earn or lose money based on your opinion. You guys watch ESPN, right? They sit around and they argue about sports all the time. Doesn't matter whether they're wrong or right. It's the conversation that matters. But you'll never hear, oh, what is the fucking best team of all time? The Niners or the Patriots? You'll never be watching ESPN and the guy will go like this. What is the best team of all time? That's a very, difficult question. Probably, there's no real way to answer that question. They just jump in and they have an opinion to have that conversation. Not as quick as you can to stop the conversation.
I think I figured out why Earl had so much trouble with that Michael Jackson question. And if you remember a few weeks ago, you asked Earl to make a list, and the idea of a list really confused him. So today, he was asked to list a bunch of Michael Jackson songs, and then he went back to that place.
Right.
Go back to that place. I mean, like, I just had a...
You're a listophobe.
Earl, I just saved you, man.
No, I owned up to the fact I had a bad starting place, and then I rattled off
after 10 minutes.
10 minutes went. You didn't rattle off. You Googled off.
I didn't
And also, like half of them
Ron and I had already discussed after you didn't have any.
Right. We'd already brought them up as being shit songs by a shit person. And then you don't even recognize when Vito came and rescued you. It's almost like if Vito was a fireman and then the old lady ran back into the building.
No, I appreciated what he was doing for me. I really do.
You showed no appreciation. You showed zero. Matter of fact, you didn't even know until he told you he came to save you.
No, I understood what he's trying to say. Me and Liz, I hate Liz, but I owned up to the fact that I was like, I was slow at the gate, giving an answer, but then I gave an answer.
What is there to hate about a list? Your list was to just say your favorite songs. It doesn't have to be a list. You had none. You didn't have a single song, and then later, thanks to Google, you were able to read off a list of non-hits because non-hits because you're so hip. You wanted to go in deep on Michael Jackson, a guy who would have 6 or 7 hit songs off of any album. You wanted to make sure you found the one that wasn't released to top 40.
Yes,
that's hipper than the room stuff.
All the great
Gail, do you find this offensive? Well, first of all, let's put her on. Brenda Lee, BL.
Hello, good afternoon, and I'd like the Bennington listeners to know that I always think before I talk.
You don't even think before you fuck. That's how you are, BL. You don't even know who you're with at any given moment.
How about the guy that has to do me? I mean, think about that poor guy.
Who's that? Who are you talking about? A drunk?
A guy that has to have sex with me.
Oh, yeah,
Think of all.
Now, BL, I understand that you have a funny Black Lives Matter joke, which to me is risky already.
Yeah, what? I would never. Well, you don't really think I'm going to say something stupid like BL's Life Matters.
That's what you were doing.
No.
BLM is BL Matters.
Hey, Ron.
That's your joke.
Ron, here's a little memo. I was born in East St. Louis, Illinois. I grew up when I was 4 feet tall buying beer for all the black guys.
Oh my God! This is the most racist thing when people start like
Why?
Good. This isn't good work. Nope.
It's bad, BL.
Dude,
What you're doing
okay,
right now is bad and it's risky.
No, I know it's risky. Ron, you taught me. You taught me risk.
Nothing.
Yes. Yes. Every BL session that we have here, Gail, Ron, I teach you what you taught me. And that is never, ever say stupid shit.
BL, are you still doing your radio show?
Yeah, I am. It's the little show that could. It's called the BL
It's a little show that shouldn't. It's the little show that shouldn't exist.
Yes, the little show that should have a cup of shut the fuck up.
No kidding. BL, don't be that thing that starts to mention that you. This is not the time to mention that you had a black friend who used to do something illegal for. Please listen
Ron,
to what you're saying.
Ron, listen. Here's what the white people that could never get picked for the dodgeball team. I just bumped elbows in the middle of Central Avenue in South St. Petersburg with a big 500-pound black man because he picked up all my garbage somebody threw in front of the store I was working at today. Me and him, we could have made love right there in the middle of Central Avenue.
BL, you're forcing me to end the show.
What?
We ended on a low note. Yeah, you can't call it the end of the show and then think that you could have a half hour to ramble your racist tirades that no longer should exist.
I apologize.
Today.
And plus, this
is
was
me.
not
This is me being woke. I'm going to shut her down. That's it for us, everybody. We'll see you back in here tomorrow. 2 for Tuesday. Every song we play, we're playing it twice. Stay safe. Take care.